Hi, this is my review of In Strange Aeons Lovecraftian Numenera. This is a supplement that allows you to customize or shape your Numenera campaign into a campaign of weird horror, of cosmic terror, in the vein of the stories of H.P. Lovecraft, one of the masters of horror. And well, let's get started with the quality of the PDF. The PDF is quite short, it's just 12 pages. It has a great organization, and one thing that I really like about the PDFs in Numenera is that they have all these beautiful graphics and, I don't know, very good design overall, and they load up pretty quickly. And well, as I was telling you, the organization is great. It has all those cool illustrations, and at the end of the book you get a lot of well, not a lot of, a decent list of recommended reading and comics and movies and games that will get you started into what the Call of Cthulhu and all those famous Lovecraftian tales, at the Mountains of Madness, the Shadow Out of Time, etc., what they're all about, how you can represent that specific horror. Well, now let's talk about the content of the PDF. Well, there's something that seems a bit like a contradiction, because there's a little text, square box of text that says, "This supplement assumes that readers are fairly familiar with Lovecraftian horror and the Cthulhu mythos. If that isn't the case, or if you'd just like to learn more, see recommended reading, etc." But actually, this supplement feels more like something for somebody who has just begun to read or watch movies or books that have something to do with Lovecraftian horror. So that seems a bit like a contradiction. Why would you release something for somebody that is fairly familiar with Lovecraft if it's, I don't know, geared towards beginners, in my opinion, beginners in this particular subgenre of horror. And well, first of all, they start giving you an introduction of what, how Numenera and Lovecraftian horror mesh together or mix together, because because Numenera is such a, I don't know, a world charged with this science that is almost like magic. They start giving you tips on how to integrate Lovecraftian sorcery and dark magic with it, and how all the weirdness starts getting more of a tone or feel that has to do with stories of cosmic horror, not just something that's a bit weird or alien. This is cosmic horror in the sense that humanity is just like a speck of dust, and everything is just so much bigger and more powerful than humanity and even the galaxy itself, and that there are some terrible beings with incredible godlike powers that they couldn't care less what happens to humanity, and sometimes they even actively seek to destroy humanity. So that's the kind of horror you want to represent. And it's fairly easy to integrate this type of horror with Numenera, because Numenera has so many weird alien, almost like, I don't know, exotic and dystopian or dystopic landscapes and creatures and societies. Sometimes maybe some would consider them like a utopia, but it depends on your perspective in this case. So it's very easy to take all those Lovecraftian elements and just toss them into your adventures or campaign and see how everything turns out. Now there is something that I think I disagree with this box over here that says H.P. Lovecraft was unfortunately a horrible racist. Well, that's debatable, because back then, around, I don't know, 1920s, in my understanding, around that time, everybody was a bit of a racist and misogynist. So saying that Lovecraft was a horrible racist, it seems a bit exaggerated. In fact, I consider that Lovecraft was kind of like a closet non-racist because he said many things against different ethnic groups and cultures, but a lot of his acquaintances and even friends could be considered, I don't know, like a lower ethnicity or culture, like a target for racism. And he even married a Jewish woman, and that's just nonsensical. Why, considering he's a horrible racist, why would he marry a Jewish woman, considering that he said some things against Jews? So I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. And then the paragraph says, luckily the ninth world is far removed from that kind of prejudice. Humans of the ninth world do not think in those terms. They are all one race, essentially. And then it says, Lovecraft, of course, was also classist, and the ninth world retains that bias to a great degree. I don't buy it. That's just ridiculous and silly. You're telling me that the ninth world, a world with danger, with wars, with conflict, and as it says here, with class issues and social issues of different sorts, doesn't have racism? Like there's just one big happy family. That's just ridiculous. I think it takes away from the realness or the believability of the setting, and it feels like some kind of a gimmick to be inclusive, to draw in more, I don't know, target a wider demographic of players. So I don't mind when they start modifying their settings in maybe in somewhat ridiculous ways, but when it affects the, I don't know, the context of or the realness of the setting, it seems really silly. And then, well, they give you more tips on how to run a horror game, pretty standard stuff. And then they give you some basic rules on how to integrate cosmic horror in the sense that it affects the character's sanity directly. And for example, in many of Lovecraft's stories, the characters are usually fainting or going insane. And here you get like a few very simple rules that have to do with dealing damage, well, intellect damage to be more precise. And as the character suffers damage to his intellect, he's going to become crazier and crazier to the point that the character will end up losing his current descriptor and getting another descriptor, which is the mad descriptor. And well, there are two descriptors that come with this supplement: the mad descriptor that I was telling you about and the doom descriptor, and they all have their ups and downs. So the mad descriptor has some intellect bonuses, but you're more vulnerable to mental attacks and damage. But with the doom descriptor, you have a lot of speed bonuses, but there's a sort of like a fatalism to the character, in the sense that he won't be able to refuse GM intrusions by paying experience sometimes. You also get like trappings or skins to decorate your NPCs and the monsters that the characters will face, so they feel more Lovecraftian. You get terms such as non-Euclidean, squamous, tentacular, unnameable. Most of them are just cosmetic changes. Oh, let me tell you a bit more about the art. The art is pretty appropriate. It does feel like Lovecraftian art. However, there are some illustrations that feel more like Clive Barkery to me. And then at the end of the book, you get 4 Lovecraftian creatures, pretty famous ones, you know, deep ones, the Great Race of Yith, the Migo, and the Shoggoth. And well, they're pretty good written, and they work well in a game, but I think they're too few. Of course, this isn't supposed to be like a Lovecraftian bestiary, but I think they could have included a bit more. And not all of the creatures have illustrations that represent them. Some just have like a small icon. Although the illustration for the Shoggoth is pretty good. And well, and as I was telling you, at the end of the book you get recommended reading, movies, games, comics, etc. Well, let me tell you what I think about this supplement. I think this supplement is only a must-have if you don't know anything about Lovecraft. If you have just begun reading the Call of Cthulhu, and if you've been watching, I don't know, the Hellboy movies, you may find this supplement useful. But for those of you who have already, let's say you are Lovecraft connoisseurs or experts in some way, you really won't find anything new in this supplement. Even the rules are quite simple. So this is like a supplement for the beginning Lovecraft enthusiast. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know, and see you later.